Right, we're live, David. Hello, people.
Yes.
Right, I'll just go out Facebook.
Come on.
That should be Facebook on board.
Yeah. Your channel.
Oh, geez, oh.
There we are.
Good afternoon, Regan. Welcome aboard.
There we go. That's YouTube in and running.
That's a Facebook.
We change. Let's not do all the names, right? If people want to see that, hi Robert, how you doing?
What I was going to say is that's a Facebook through and all.
Yeah. Okay.
Good interview on Saturday. Over 1,000 people watched it now on Facebook and on YouTube, so it went well. What else? Nothing really. You want to just get into it?
Aye, that's the best idea. Let's start off with a well-named gentleman, Mr. Ratcliffe.
Oh, aye. The man who's going to close Grangemouth refinery and move it to Belgium.
Yes.
And Grangemouth refinery posts profits of 107.5 million.
Yeah, if you post profits of 107.5 million, then there's no way that you can say that the company's in trouble. We've got to close it because it's not doing awfully well and all the rest of it, right? So could this just be a political move?
I don't know, but what we do know is that Radcliffe now also controls the North Sea oil pipelines.
Yeah.
And he's taking the oil to Belgium to refine, leaving Scotland one of the world's biggest, one of the biggest oil producers around. We need refining capabilities.
Well, look,
what we can see is the Scorch Earth policy going on here, and Radcliffe's getting 500 million quid of government money for the new refinery, UK government money for new refinery in Belgium. That means that Scottish taxpayers are paying for Scottish people to lose their bloody job.
That's so strange. I mean, okay, we say this 10 to the dozen, but do you not see that as being an absolutely fantastic reason for getting our independence? Because once we've got our independence, then we've got control over everything.
Looks like they're trying to work it in such a manner that we won't have control over.
Once we've got independence, it's like they won't be able to stand our way. Ratcliffe would just be shown the door, right? Forget it, son. You've had your time. Bye-bye.
But how do you see his assets? His assets of that North Sea pipeline.
There's all sorts you can do as far as that's concerned, David.
Well, once we're independent, we shut it down.
Yeah, that's in actual fact. What you do is you shut things down. You shut the pipelines down, right?
Oh, we can do that. We know where they're operating from.
Yeah, and all of a sudden there is sheer panic, and the boardrooms involved in that area would say bye-bye to Jim Ratcliffe themselves, right?
Yes, well, what we can see is that there's UK government money involved in shutting the industry down in Scotland. That's a Scots Earth policy.
Yeah.
That sort of means they know we're on the way out the door and they're going to leave the oil industry in ragtag state.
They're going to try. They're going to try. Well, if I was in charge of the whole lot, which I'm not, which I'll never be, right? But if I was in charge of the whole lot, I'd be looking at a way whereby we could do a proper transition from oil and gas to renewable, and make it gentle enough so that we get people across and the renewable industry. Yeah.
Well, we're going to discuss that shortly, David, but there's a couple of bits down, because as you know, there's a wee rammy going on in Hollywood about this, but we'll inform the people of that one in a minute. Let's move on to Murdo the Flood. This one's funny, David.
Murdo is funny anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. It's about
effectively, he told us, he gave us all a good reason why we should be independent anyway. He's a guy that actually sat in front of the camera and told people, well, you know, it's like, if Scotland becomes independent, it means Scotland would have a better blooming standard of living and all the rest of it, right? So he effectively told everybody that Scotland was going to be better off if independent. There you go.
I guess we better tell people as fat as dummy out about. Now, a member of the public on the 20th of November 2023 went to Voice Scotland and made a complaint about a tweet that Mr. Murdo Fraser had made. And they alleged that Mr. Fraser's tweet was a hate crime. Now, what the tweet actually said, and this is important, he compared identifying as non-binary as being the same as identifying as a cat. Mind, they were pulling this piss up about kids at school identifying with cats a year or so back, you know. Anyway, so somebody went and made a complaint about Murdo Fraser, right? Now, the police, of course, when they get a complaint, are duty bound to investigate the complaint, so they issue a case number. The police issue a case number, and they diligently do their job, have a look at Mr. Fraser's tweet, decide it's not a hate crime, write in the record next to that crime number, not a hate crime, and close the file. End of story. But no, that's not good enough for Murdo Fraser. Murdo Fraser says the mere fact that a member of the public had made a complaint and the police had taken it seriously and had recorded this incident, that impinged on his rights to privacy and his rights to freedom of expression. He is threatening to sue Police Scotland unless they do away with the incident number and the case from the public record.
So let me see if I get this right? The guy wants the thing blooming hushed up, right? Yeah, hushed up. And what he said is, I'm going to take the whole of Police Scotland, in the whole of Scotland, to court if you don't, you know, expunge this totally, right? For expunging this, that's where it gets dead complicated, isn't it? It's like you think to yourself, what does the guy actually want?
I have no idea, David. Because
he definitely is a FUD, isn't he?
Aye. I mean, what have the police done wrong? Member of the public makes a complaint. The police are duty bound to investigate that complaint. They issue a number in order to record it.
No.
They find no crime, right? No crime, shut the bloody thing and stick it in a drawer. Or in this case, filed on a computer.
So if they didn't give it a number and say that's it, shut, no crime committed, that means effectively that the smell of him being, you know, racist or whatever would hang over his head.
Genderish, I think it is.
Was that right? Okay, would hang over his head forevermore.
But what's interesting is that it might have been under the new definition.
Aye.
Which of course it wasn't. We know that now. It's the loonies that are claiming it would be under the new definition thing, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, what Murdo wants is the police to get rid of the record altogether and forget that it ever existed. Now, as you just pointed out, what he's saying is it impinges on his right to privacy, but he's the one telling us all about it. Did you know about it? And it impinges on his right to freedom of expression. As far as I know, he's in charge of taking and doing his tweets and putting up his tweets. What's that going to do with Police Scotland?
You think perhaps that he thinks that people look upon him all the time. Oh, I wonder what Murdo Fraser's doing this week. No, we're not interested. You're the most uninteresting person alive. You're even more uninteresting than me, and that's saying something.
Anyway, with the other thing, I think, nurse! Murdo's after drugs. That's what I think. I just thought that had to be spoken about. It was just too funny. Yeah. You know, the people have got to get this into their head. Police day job, I'm going to sue you for day job. I'm mental. Yeah. I like to see this one flying the courts.
They seem to be all over the place. Where you, if you talk about Dross and what he was doing regarding the new law, the law to actually bring everything together, he's a bit out there, isn't he?
Okay.
Do you think they're all looking at it and going, "Oh, I'm going to be out of job here"? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Murdo's claiming that his rights have been infringed under Article 8 and Article 10 of the Human Rights Act. And if the police don't do what he demands, he's going to sue. I just thought it was hilarious.
It is hilarious. Of course it is.
He also demands that Police Scotland follow UK law. Hello? This is Scotland. We have Scotland law.
No, whoa. There is no UK law. When did that come to being? Eh? Where the fuck's this UK law?
Murdo's just the office chump. As I say,
hang on. This is what gets me. This is a member of the Scottish Parliament. You would think that he would know all the basics about what is reserved, and all the rest of it. Okay. And then he says, he's going to do something under UK law. There is no UK law.
That's the other thing they don't get. It doesn't seem to get, and we all get it. When they pass a bill which actually affects Scotland, it's actually going to be rewritten to fit Scots law. Yeah. These people are nuts. I mean, you're absolutely right, David. How do these people make it into Parliament?
I don't know. And I mean, don't forget, he's been there for like, I don't know how many years, but
he's never won an election either.
Exactly. I mean, that is the irony of ironies. Is you end up as a member of Parliament for the like the second biggest country in a union, right? And you never get elected. You don't need to get elected. You can just do that as you're walking by people, on the way to the seat. Yeah.
Aye. But I mean, I really don't know where Murdo's getting off in this one. I really don't get it. Yeah. I mean, he tells the public that he was investigated. Nobody is new, nobody is cared. Yeah. And then threats to sue the public, sue Police Scotland for infringing on his privacy under Article 8 and 10 of the Human Rights Act. He's a nutter.
Anyway.
I thought people should know about it because it was funny, David.
Yes, it was funny. Of course it was. Right, now, on to something maybe a wee bit more...
serious.
Yeah, serious.
I'll do a quick spiel on this one, David. I'll give the details and then we'll discuss it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, new poverty report tells us 1 in 4 children in poverty in Scotland. The reports by Children First. Now, involved in compiling this report was also the Child Poverty Action Group, which is a UK-wide charity. And they say what the stats tell us is that the numbers in Scotland are stable. They're not going up, but they're not coming down.
Yeah.
Whereas Child Poverty Action Group, which is a UK charity, tells us but the numbers are rising UK-wide. They're stabilising in Scotland because of the new child payment, right? Yeah. But what it also points out, David, and this is the tragedy of it, is that new child payment is only stopping another 100,000 feet dropping into poverty. It isn't letting anybody out of it.
Why is that?
The cost of living crisis. It's all broken down in the report, David.
Absolutely. Basically, basically, what's happening now is if you've got Waynes, right, the Waynes are getting that payment. Let's say you get 3 kids, right? That's £75 a week dropping in your pocket, right? That £75 a week is blooming blitzed by maybe having to heat your house or whatever, right? It's so fucking annoying, so stupid, so angry, right? That 75 quid should be to enrich them kids' lives. And here we are putting up with the fucking Tories and the fucking Labour, right?
That and it's only just helping them meet their household bills rather than lifting them out of poverty.
Yeah.
So what the report tells us is that over the years 2024, 2025, the new child payment here in Scotland, the £25 a week per child, will stop another 100,000 drafting into poverty, but because of the cost of living crisis, contraction in the economy, likely high unemployment, benefits being squeezed, it's not able to lift anybody out of poverty, and that's a bloody tragedy.
That's crazy.
Now, what the Scottish Government have said is that they're ploughing money at this, but, you know, they do want to bring more and more children out of poverty, but their hands are tied behind their back. But we've got UK-wide charities reporting to us that the situation's stable in Scotland.
Aye.
But getting worse everywhere else. And that really makes me even angrier.
Yeah.
And we know that Hunt is going to be around for an autumn statement. And he's talking about squeezing benefits in order to give those who can afford it more. It's just no a feasible model. It's no if we don't sort out this wealth inequality, we're going to be a third world country.
Yes. And
Scotland's answer, of course, is to just get rid of the lunatics that are coming out of the private schools down that road, who are on that Parliament making an arse of it, and their own interests. It's just no viable anymore. If we don't tax the rich to fund what people need, then you don't have an educated population, you don't have a healthy population. It means that your economy's on its arse because you don't have what it needs to run a successful economy. And the only way to get out of that, folks, is to get rid of that mob down that road. And it's no disrespect. It would also help the people down that road turn on their government and say, that's enough.
Yeah.
The primary purpose of government is to protect the people. That's not what you're doing. You're enriching yourself, you're creating wealth inequality, and you're selling off the silverware.
Yeah. The people in England really, really, really should be screaming at this. They should be at the front door of the House of Parliament, screaming for them people to be pushed out the door, because they know fine well it's going to get worse and worse for them. What the reports are saying is you have already said, David, quite rightly, is that in Scotland we're managing to stay. We're hanging, as it were. We're not managing to go up. We're maybe not going down, but we're just hanging there. Whereas in England, they're doing that.
Yep. Yeah. And we're going with them because that's the major thing. See, there's still a huge tax base down there, and they haven't stole everything yet. They've still got the NHS to steal, and West Streeting's on the job.
West Streeting, who's that? Get them out the door. Seriously. If the people of England don't want to see their NHS getting literally got rid of with a stroke of a fucking pen, then they get rid of the people that are going to make that stroke. Simple as that. And I don't mean it nasty. I'm talking about get them out of politics, get them out the door, get them out of a place where they can actually, they've got any power. Remove that.
David, it's institutional. It needs to be swept clean.
Yes. Yeah.
Because what we have is a state that is stagnated to the point where the politicians are coming from such a small field of players that they haven't got a scooby about the people, and they don't care about the people. They only care about holding power, factory, and privilege.
David, what I don't get is that you look at the population and you can go, right, there's a percentage of them good people and a percentage of them bad people, right? How come we got such a large amount of bad people in the House of Commons?
Because it's not representative.
Explain that to me.
It's not representative. It's self-interested people all coming for a small pond, really. I mean, if we look at politics here in Scotland, we've only got 2 or 3 universities and 2 or 3 private schools, and it's where they all come from.
Aye. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm angry, but what's new, right?
As I say, the only way to deal with us is to sweep it clean. For us, it's to break the ties with that rotten institution down the road. For the people of England, it's to take it by the scruff of its neck. And I can't see that happening while they've got this 2-party system down that road.
Well, that's not going to change. That's not going to change. The only thing that's got to change is it's got to be Scotland, and it's got to be the way that we create independence for ourselves. At the moment, I am a wee bit confused as to how we do that with the amendments that went through from the Scottish MPs, the SNP MPs, who wrote amendments and took us out of the situation where we could have had a plebiscite election. Now, the plebiscite election could have gone tits up. We could have lost in a plebiscite election. It does happen. But it was one more shot at the blooming target, wasn't it? Eh?
Well, anyway, the course is set now, David.
Yeah.
Strategy may have to change, but what we can say is that the economics of the situation is busted. Inequality has accelerated since 2020, and over 800 billion quid of taxpayers' money's ended up in the hands of the wealthy. Through one method or another. And the system's broke. For us, the out is just to break ties altogether with that corrupt institution.
Yeah.
And for the people of England, and for those who might not understand what we're talking about when we talk about accumulated, when we talk about wealth inequality, a small amount of the population have all the money and all the assets, and that means there's no tax revenues being generated because the money's not working. And because there's no tax revenues being generated, institutions like education and things like that end up on its arse. And if you don't have a healthy and the medical system ends up on its arse. And if you don't have a fit and healthy population, you can't run an economy anyway, and an educated population.
That's right.
And one of the ways the elite have kept their hands on power and a small amount of people is they're educated and they're making sure nobody else gets educated. We had that change for a wee while in the 70s where we had meritocracy, but we've watched it go backwards almost to Dickensian stages now. The schools down that road are falling down. Nobody seems to be going to fund it, so it looks like local schools are going to have to raise and do it through charity, fix their own institutions. If this isn't Dickensian, I don't know what is.
Yeah. All right, look. Fine, we've talked out of death. I think in actual fact what we need to be doing is we need to be looking at how we go about reversing what was sorted out at that conference. The conference that we saw where amendments were put in as to how the plebiscite, a plebiscite would be run.
David, you've got your YouTube screen up, haven't you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Looks like it might have demonetised us because apparently there's no super chat button the other day.
Ah, right, okay. Well, I did have a problem with Google the other day.
We'll take a look into it, David.
Okay, no problem.
Take a look into it.
So, what I'll do in the interim is I'll put up on David's timeline and my timeline. We'll put up the account number and the source code.
That is up on my timeline anyway, David, so because the program's streaming there.
Yeah, but just something new, fresh.
I can do that. I do. Let's move on to the Stussy and Holyrood, or the Just Transition Fund.
Yes, I must admit, I got a wee bit confused over this.
Aye, you did, aye. It's understandable.
Because it's all different terminology. The just transition payment, the levelling up payment. Where are we going with this?
Well, the Just Transition Fund's separate for the levelling up fund. That's a Westminster scheme.
I appreciate that, but it seems to me as if they're doing it intentionally to confuse people. What are you on about this time?
Aye, it is quite intentional, and it's also to confuse who's doing what.
Yep.
So the Scottish Government have pledged 500 million over 10 years for a just transition in the North East.
Yep.
The Levelling Up Fund is 8 billion quid or 3 billion quid or whatever, as the UK government's offering to areas in the UK.
Yeah.
To improve their environment, to improve their productivity, update their high streets, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the Stussy and Holyrood is, in the first year that this fund was set up, the Scottish Government's pledged 500 million. We can get into the rights and wrongs of that at the end of it. In the first year, the fund was awarded 20 million. In the second year, it was awarded 50 million. Mm-hmm. Remember, this is 500 million over 10 years.
Yeah.
Over 24-25 financial year, they'll only be putting 12 million into the fund.
Mm-hmm.
So the Stussy is coming through the cuckoos and the nest saying, what's the script with this? Why is it only 12 million? That's only 75% of 23-24's budget. Sorry, that's 75% done in 23-24's budget.
Yeah.
So the Scottish Government, being reasonably honest, tells them, we've got a 10% cut company capital funding for Westminster over the next 5 years. Would they intend to spend the £500 million? We're just going to have to restructure how it's done. What can you say to that? If we can't give the industry money for the transition, well, the industry's got deep pockets. It can help it all.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an audio engineer. I do PA. I love doing PA systems, right? But I also know how to do closed circuit TV and things like that. I've done a few closed circuit for pals and different things like that, right? And I might like to transition from PA to closed circuit TV. Can I have a wee fund to help me do that? Is that possible?
Does it meet green standards? It might be possible.
Aye. Do you know something? I'd make sure that every camera was made of
plastic.
Plastic. We'll use up plastic bottles to make cameras. Think about that. There's a green transition for you. Eh?
Well, when you talk about the transition, now, should governments really be funding the transition, the training, to go from one industry to another? Well, if we don't want the same thing, but as they intend to shut down the industry they're working in, then the answer is supposed to be yes.
It was called in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It was called where you look at it and go, we've got to diversify. If you diversify too much, it all gets a bit complex, and your company will go tits up. Excuse the French, right? But it is called diversification, and companies have been doing it for years and years and years and years. They haven't had a lump of money to help them do it.
The Scottish Government is getting a lump of money to help them do it, and you know the reason behind it. They don't want to repeat what happened when Thatcher shut the mines and things like that, and whole communities were decimated. So the idea is, because these are new technologies coming online, the government invests in training people to go to work in these new technologies.
No, the government are investing in their own companies. That's what's happening. So in other words, it's actually called insider trading. So let's say that you had the plans for a new robot that was going to actually serve tea on the high street, right? And you knew that was going to be the common thing. So what you do is you actually you make sure that you've got everything in place so that you're ready to start producing those robots to take the money from the government straight into your back pocket. How's about that?
Yeah, that's another way of looking at it, David. To see, I mean, the merits of whether the government should be doing this or no. We know what happened with the deindustrialisation of Scotland. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
They believe that there has to be a just transition.
Yeah.
You know, the merits of it or not, it's a different matter. But anyway, the budget's been slashed, and the Scottish government's went, well, no, but here's another thing. I was going through this, right, and the hands-on report on the committee, and what the one thing nobody asked is how much is sitting in the kitty with that 82 million that we'll have had. How much has been spent? Where did they go? That wasn't what they were arguing about. They were arguing about how much is going in for this year. You know, accessibility. Who got it? Whose back pockets this money in? How many engineers have they trained? Or how many are in training? Because we're on year 3. You know, that wasn't what the reports were on about. It was outrage at the budget being cut.
Seems to me that it's not jobs for the boys; it's money for the boys.
So
it's just more and more interesting ways to get money diverted into people's pockets, into those politicians' pockets.
I don't know if it goes to politicians, David, but the businessmen are getting it. Are they going to provide value for money?
But the businessmen
are they going to be innovators? And what's in it? Are they going to stay in Scotland? Are they going to do a Dyson and do a runner?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, all these questions when you're talking about public money. Right, I think we've done this. Sushi at Holyrood, their just transition to death and all now.
Next one's a wee bit something we need to talk about. We do need to talk about it, right? Assisted dying.
Yes.
You'll remember that our lovely Margot, she stood up and made a beautiful speech over assisted dying at a time when really she could have done with a bit of help in that respect, right? It now looks as if there's going to be I'll bring it up on my it's a Liberal policy.
Liam Mascaffer
reintroduced it.
He reintroduced his bill 2 weeks ago. I think it must be up for a second reading, David.
Yeah.
This Lib Dem MSP is convinced he's going to get it through this time.
I think he will. I think there is new thinking on this. I think we've gone through something where death was a central part of it. We went through the pandemic, and I think that may have changed people's feelings on it, their gut feeling on the whole thing of dying, of assisted dying. Yeah.
But David, I've got a question for you here, right? This is a hard question, this one, right? Now, referenda are devolved. Why aren't they running the referenda to get the people's opinion?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you better ask.
Yeah.
Have they forgot that elections and referenda are now devolved, except for in one area, and that is when it comes to the constitutional question. So if there's a big question like assisted dying, would we not be better putting it to the people?
Yes, and I totally, utterly agree.
Then we'll make a couple of phone calls and see if anybody's fucking thought of it.
Yeah.
Because an amendment to this bill that Liam's introduced 2 weeks ago, an amendment to this bill could be, let's put it to the people.
Yeah. Yes. And we've as far as the wording and the way it's worked out and all the rest of it, it would be really, really easy to produce something simple, a pamphlet or whatever, something simple to explain it to people how it works. I mean, for example, he said his proposals would require diagnosis of a terminal illness by 2 separate doctors and a 14-day cooling off period after which a medical substance could be supplied to be self-administered, right? So, I mean, okay, this is talking about self-administration. What about somebody?
Well, he's basically talking about the rules that CERN operate under.
Yeah.
Where to get a referral, you go to your diagnosis by two different doctors. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the way they do it in the Netherlands as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as I say, I think this one should go to the people. And I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think
we also did discuss another situation which is pretty moot, is where somebody decides that they do not want any further treatment. My own mother did that. The surgeon came to her bedside and said, "Come on, Mary, I can give you a wee simple operation here and sort it." She was 92, I think she was at the time, and we'll get it all sorted out. And she went, "No, not interested." And 4 days later, she died. Right. So there are situations where people can just go, "I've had enough." And the doctor, I don't think they can force the treatment on them now, because you get a situation like the Jehovah's Witnesses, where you are not allowed to give them any blood products. That's already covered. You know, and as far as that's concerned, it's like there's a wee bit in the Bible that says, "Thou shalt not partake of blood."
Right. Well, as I say, one of the things about this one is, as a serious issue, people do have strong feelings on it. And I think the politicians should take this one out of their own hands. So I think maybe a wee amendment in Liam MacArthur's bill, because the processing that he's talking about is all great. That's all great. That would all be legal in watertight. That's the point of the bill. Right.
A lot of the people here know that I'm a Christian, right? And as a Christian, it's like I should be all over this like a rash. But I don't think so. I think if you want to end your life because you're going through possibly the worst time in your life, then what right have I got a blooming stamp all over that? Yeah.
Well, I say it's a big question, and I don't know if it should actually be in the hands of the politicians. This one, people have strong feelings about it, David.
Yeah, but also you look at it, and there's a certain section of the population that would be easily led the other way. Yeah. So in other words, you can imagine the local vicar going round the door and go, "Oh no, it's bad. This God says you'll go to the bad fire if you agree with this one, right?" What I say as a Christian is let people make their own minds up, Mr. Vicar.
Well, as I say, there is all that about the idea of holding a referendum. I think this is one of these ones where you would put it to the people and say, "Go away and think about it," and we'll have the vote in 10 or 12 weeks' time.
But I do think that there is.
Well, there is. I can understand why it would be.
What I'm going to say is there is an argument for actually taking a few weeks to actually properly explain it.
Yeah.
Explain what the issues are in a way where people can take it in.
Aye. As I say, I never said the referendum on it would be easy. I mean, you can see why the politicians are looking at it. But as I say, this is a biggie. And the idea of the referenda act being devolved, to Scotland, was that if the politicians came to a biggie that they thought the people should have a say on, then this is one of them, David.
Yeah. No. Good one. Let's make those phone calls. Right. In actual fact, I'll tell you now, guys. How's about you lot make a few phone calls? You know that there are MSPs and MPs that you know, and you could easily make a phone call.
Let's make a couple of quiet inquiries about maybe putting an amendment in, right? But see if it doesn't pass the Parliament this time. Then maybe we should get somebody to take it back to the Parliament and say, "Let's put this to the people."
Aye. Yes.
You know. Right, we're going to end the Scottish section really on a good news story which is probably thanks to the Greens. And it's a boost to Scottish fishing industry and the wider fishing industry.
Right, let me set the scene. Right. Here we have a Scottish Parliament that is now like the made up of the Greens and the SNP, right? Okay, and the Greens think, well, let's us go ahead and see if we can think up things that maybe will benefit the people of Scotland, but in a green way, right? So what happens is the lassie, forget her name, the Greens lassie. Please, somebody remind me. But she puts in this thing about protecting the spawning grounds for fish.
Aye.
Yeah, by keeping the fishing vessels out of those areas. Right? And what happens? Oh, she gets battered to death by the fishing community.
Yep.
Right? And then, because we've managed to keep those fishing vessels out of those waters for even just a short time, what do we have? Hang on a second. Let's see if I can just put this one up on the screen. I want them to see the picture.
Sure.
Because this is a picture. Come on. It is there.
Right, pop it in the green room, I'll wrap it in.
Okay. There we are. Right, you may share.
Okay. Let's drop it in.
See that area there?
Yep.
That's the spawning grounds. You can see them from space. So see the next one that blooming has a go at the Greens for an idea. They need to be blooming slapped round the blooming Holyrood at least 3 times.
Yeah, of course, when the herring have spawned there and you leave them alone, and then they obviously they move back out into the ocean again, you know.
The thing is though, the people that fish these waters, do they not realise if you leave them alone for a wee while, the fish have blooming, the numbers of fish have grown again, and you can get back. The main problem is, however, that because you went down the road of saying, oh, the waters now belong to us, who are you going to sell them to? That's maybe another matter, but we can argue that later on.
Aye. As I say, but I mean, the idea, it would be a brilliant boost to the industry. Especially not just in Scotland, because you know these herring travel right round, you know.
David, can we get you back to proper size, please?
Aye, sure. There you go. Anyway, you leave the spawning grounds alone and fish them, and it would be a great boon to the fishing industry. Because of the fact we've nobody to fucking sell them to. Brexit, one of the things that the fishing industry thought was going to be their saviour, and it's turned out to be the demise of the fishing industry.
Exactly.
Mental.
So every now and then, I mean, look, I'm SNP, right? But I'll tell you now, some of the things that the Greens come away with, it's common sense, guys.
Aye.
Yeah. And it's like the Greens get jumped on for, they're going to do away with the oil and gas industry. No, they're helping this thing of like we move to renewables, right? And they're trying to give people the reason for doing that. Maybe I should be a Green, but no, I think I'm going to stay with the SNP, because at the end of the day, it's like I recognise the SNP are the only ones that are going to get us independence.
I have to agree with you there, David. But it does show you that some of these green policies can actually benefit if you just give them time to work.
Yeah. So
it would be a boon to the fishing industry if we then anywhere to sell the bloody fish.
Well, that's what I said at the time when we were on about the fishing industry. All going, look at that. We're going to be able to take our waters and control them and all the rest of it, right? And that was my very thing. Who the hell are they going to sell them to?
Gingers have got a cracker. He's one of the Brexit benefits. They only won their pound so far. Some new razor clam beds in the Thames. The Thames is so dirty, You did it. What are you going to do with razor clams? Bottom feeding mollusks.
No, I got to tell you this one, right? Last night, Leslie was watching this new Who Done It program, right? Okay. And in it, one of the ladies that liked to be a detective, right? A Miss Marple's type, right? She liked to swim naked down the Thames.
Wow.
And what they had was they had her in the water, right? And you could see the water going into her mouth, and we're all going, oh!
And I was actually stating in the comments that new beds of razor clams found on the Thames was a Brexit bonus.
Yeah.
I didn't know razor clams were that territorial. But of course, they're very happy fish because they're British fish. Jacob,
and what's our song? We like the taste of shite. We like the taste of shite.
Right, we're running out of time. We better move on. Police investigate Labour over vote rigging allegations. Now, this has to do with candidate selection votes through the Anonyvote online voting system. Well, the anonymous party is making it quite clear that the vote's being manipulated because there's more members voting in a selection candidate campaigns than what there is members in the branches. So the police have been called in to have a look at this. Now, it's the allegation is that the HQ knows about this and are very much either ignoring it or encouraging it. But it's not a good look that their in-house voting system is being investigated by police because of potential vote rigging through this system. It's called an Anonyvote. And apparently it was designed by a member and his wife's a councillor. Now, I don't really have all the details. Because really it came up as a headline in my news feed in my phone at work last night, so I skimmed it, really. But as I say, this is in Coventry, and the allegations are that in selection processes and this Anonyvote online voting system, there'll be more people voting than what there has been members of the branch. And that just doesn't work.
But David, you'd have thought somebody would have had the intellect to go, we better stop this before the newspapers get the hold of it or the news services get the hold of it, because is that not just bloody stupid?
Anyway, in a couple of these situations where it was a Starmer placeman who ended up being selected, the candidates who were not selected have noticed that the amount of votes that were cast in the elections for the candidate was more than the numbers of members of their branches. So a couple of them made complaints. Do you think it's either a problem? It's either a problem with the Labour Party, or it's a problem with the system, or either it could well be that this system was put in place to be manipulated. I don't know because I don't understand the programme. But I don't see the point. I mean, if you're having a branch vote for a candidate or a constituency vote for a candidate, whatever way you want to look at it, and the amount of votes supersede the amount of members you vote in that branch, something not right there.
Well, it's vote dumping, isn't it? It's like or ballot packing, where they actually put a few extra in. Yeah.
But as I say, it's been picked up. It's been reported to the police. They're investigating it. But that sounds.
To my mind, David. To my mind, it's like these things. There are certain things that need reporting to the police. Yeah, right. there are certain other things that should be reported to the Electoral Commission. And things like that, definitely, that's Electoral Commission territory, right? And then if the Electoral Commission says, Joe Bloggs there, he's been stuffing the ballot box, then let's phone the police and get him taken away for questioning, right? That's the way it should work, surely.
I don't know, but complaints have been made to the police, but maybe the police will identify who's been stuffing the ballot box and report them to the Electoral Commission.
To be honest with you, I don't think the police are up to the job, as far as that's concerned. If somebody steals a Mars bar out of a newsagent, the policeman can go, Mars bar's missing, he's got an extra Mars bar standing outside the shop. He's a shoplifter, so they can actually make they can actually get the mental juices.
The millions of Mars bars anywhere, the guy still doesn't shoplifter, mental. But as I say, complaints have been made to the police, a bit like Murdo Fraser thing. Complaints have been made to the police. Police are investigating. Should the Electoral Commission be investigating or not? Probably.
Right.
But should there be an internal Labour Party investigation into this voting system?
No, because that's them marking their own exam papers.
Very true. Very, very true. Now, we're only going to have time for this next one, David, and then we'll talk about the Moscow thing. Okay. Rather than talk about Gaza this time around, because...
David, there's one quick piece of news that I want to mention. And it'll matter if I live up there, right? If I can just read it out, right? A new 45 million housing development is to be officially opened later in Lewis. The site at Goat Hill, Stornoway, includes a 52-bed care home, 50 flats for people with extra support needs, and 74 affordable homes. The project was proposed as a way to help tackle housing shortages in the Western Isles. It was approved in 2018, developed by a local authority, Comhe Nan Island. I can never say that. For fuck's sake. Forgive me. Okay. Western Isles Health and Social Care Partnership and the Hebridean Housing Partnership with Scottish Government funding. I just thought that was important. Just put that in as a thing. To realise other bits of Scotland, apart from the Central Belt and Glasgow and Edinburgh and Aberdeen and Dundee, that do well. Yeah. So well done, guys.
Right. John McDonald. There was a debate in Westminster yesterday. Was it the day before? It was yesterday. Our arms sales to Israel. And Jeremy Corbyn's ex-deputy leader, John McDonald, who's still in the Labour Party, stood up for a point of order, and they asked the Deputy Speaker to ask the Speaker to provide MPs with legal advice and guidance on whether they would be complicit in war crimes if the government's complicit in war crimes. And this is our arms sales to Israel. Now, what Mr. McDonald said was, in the question of the government, the minister admitted continued arms sales to Israel, which means some of those arms could be used in what's happening in Gaza. So therefore, individual MPs be complicit if it's the government who are complicit. So he wants the Speaker to provide individuals with guidance. Now, you and I are quite straightforward on this one. The whole way the House, John's point was it's MPs' jobs to hold the government to account. But if the government itself is complicit in war crimes, and they said it looks like they are, he actually said it looks like they are, does that make individual MPs complicit? Well, as you say, David, because the Labour Party's policy and the Tory Party's policy is identical on this, then by association, I would say that the Labour MPs are definitely complicit as well as Tory MPs.
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, it's, the wording of it, as far as I'm concerned, it should be the same in international law as it is in English law or in Scottish law. aiding and abetting in a war crime. And if you are aiding and abetting in a war crime, you are as guilty as if you were committing the war crime yourself. You know, if you facilitate something, if somebody says, "I'm going to kill that bunch of guys over there," right? Okay, and it's like oh, you look at it and you go, okay.
But Mr. McDonald,
and then you, oh, I've got a box full of rifles here and ammunition. You want that? Here, take that. And they go across the. If you hadn't been there with that box of ammunition, they wouldn't be able to do it. So therefore, you are guilty.
Mr. McDonald's point was that there were MPs in that building who don't agree with the government stance, don't agree with the party's stance, but are they still complicit? Because what John was basically saying is, I believe there's war crimes going on. You know there's war crimes going on. I want legal advice on what my personal responsibility is here.
No, just tell your obtuse, ridiculous, disgusting political party just to stop with the blooming association with the Israeli government. End of. Simple as that. I rest my case. I drop the microphone. There you go.
Well, as I say, it was interesting because, you know, the debate was discussing sales to arms sales to Israel. And it was interesting because, as far as you and I were concerned, David, it's the party policy and the association of the party that made them complicit. What he's pointing out is individuals have got different ideas on this. And I think it was a kick at Starmer. You know, I think it was a kick at Starmer.
Yeah, well, John McDonnell's tied up with Jeremy Corbyn, isn't he? So at the end of the day, it's like John McDonnell's going to have a wee kick at Starmer. And John McDonnell, even though I hate the wee bastard, right? And he's the one that stood yet again, another one standing against Scotland being allowed to vote for its own destiny, right? But still in all, he was part of Jeremy Corbyn's crew. And I can imagine him having a wee go at Sir Comrade Starmer. Yeah? Something like that.
Well, as I say, I think it was a go at Starmer and all, but he was pointing out that there are individual MPs and of course there's the SNP and the Greens, I dare say, quite commonly, who take the stance that Israel is committing war crimes. And there should be an immediate ceasefire. So there obviously no are they being in that parliament? Because they're in that parliament, does that make them complicit?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the straight away, if we get out of our beds, man the ships, and head down to the blooming Suez Canal and into the Red Sea to support the Americans in doing what they're doing, that's wrong. Don't do it. Don't do it in my name. It's not in my name.
As I say, but it was interesting. It was interesting because he was demanding that the Speaker get legal advice and supply the MPs with the responsibilities and obligations and what this meant for individual MPs.
No, this is the thing. It's like the MPs have got a library there. They've got all these facilities. To find out whether you are complicit in war crimes, you can phone up a beak practically anywhere in London. They'll tell you, yeah, you're aiding and abetting, son.
What he was saying is the Speaker is their HR office. And because he's their HR office, he should be providing them with the guidance.
Fuck's sake, man. Yeah.
Well, that was his argument. I just thought it was interesting. Because obviously, people in that parliament who think that there's war crimes going on aren't really getting a voice because of Labour and Tory at this point in time.
Right. I'll tell you what. Do you know when they will get loads and loads and loads of advice? It's when they get hauled away by the blooming Hague. Right? There's your papers. You're here next Monday morning. You're in the dock for blooming 6 hours over what you did or didn't do.
Well, as I say, I just thought it was interesting that individual MPs are looking for a get out for their association with parties who are agreeing with who have been complicit in the genocide. I mean, let's face it, Mr. Starmer, who's John McDonnell's leader, did say that Israel had the right to cut off food, water, and medicine to the people of Palestine who were watching a bloody famine, an engineered famine. Right, look, David, we're not going to have time to deal with the Russian thing. As we know, a theatre in Moscow was attacked. The reports I've seen have said between 60 and 93 people have died.
Islamic Jihad, was it?
ISSK have claimed responsibility. Right. Putin said it was the Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he?
But we're not going to have any time to get into that in depth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Audience figures have been great again, up there at the 200 mark again. We'll have a wee look into why there was no super chat facility, David.
Yeah, it's down to me. Over the weekend, I made a mistake. I bought a nice new Samsung telly for the wall in the bedroom, and to take part in the smart services on that, I had to have a different email address to the email address I've got. So I opened up a Google mail address, and what happened was that Google mail address effectively took over the planet from my blooming computer.
No, actually,
right?
Google Chrome tends to do that.
Yeah, and what happened was I went, oh shit, and what I did was I took Google Mail off my computer, but what I did was it destroyed that many things. This morning I had an appointment at the health centre to get work done on my blooming heel, right? And it's like I didn't even know the time because it got rid of my calendar, my diary. That was all gone, right? So it's possible that it's down to
Chrome does tend to do that, David. You know, Chrome just takes over if you let it. In fact, most people have got to the point where they just let it. But we'll have a look into it,
What I will do is I'll take it on myself. You don't need to do anything, David. I will put the sort code and the account number in a little post up on David's timeline and on my timeline. So if you do want to do a little donation, it doesn't matter if it's £1.50 or it's 10,000 quid. I don't care. You set it for yourselves, all right? And don't feel that you've got to put in big numbers, all right? A little number, a lot of them can be as good a help, right? So, anyway, right.
You can't do that, David. You see.
Right, okay.
Right, thanks for watching, folks. We'd like you to hit the like button. We'd like you to hit the subscribe button. That's us up to 1,700 odd, David. We're getting there. Slowly getting towards that 2,000. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and if you like what it is we do, share it across your social media platforms, please. It all helps the algorithm. Thanks very much. We hope you found it interesting. We hope you found it informative. And that's just leaves us one thing left to say.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, guys.